In an alternate universe where Peter Parker was not bitten by the radioactive spider, Jonah Jameson and his intern Peter were visiting an exhibit of modified animals until they finally meet the scientist Kurt Connors, whom they had gone to interview for the Daily Bugle. But at that exact moment, a spider suddenly comes down from the ceiling and lands on Jonah's hand, biting him. A bit later, after Jonah lies down to sleep, he ends up dreaming about his deceased son and starts cold sweating in his sleep. But then Peter Parker suddenly enters Jonah's room to ask why he was late and gets extremely surprised seeing him hanging from the ceiling. Now at the Daily Bugle building, Betty Brant was arguing with Jonah about how it would be nearly impossible for them to confirm who was responsible for the accident that killed his son, until Jonah suddenly gets an idea and asks Peter Parker for help with a new job. Meanwhile, at Starrux Industries, the employees were discussing ideas on how to prevent the information about the accident that killed Jonah's son being their fault from spreading, trying to protect the company's reputation. But suddenly they're interrupted by a disguised Jonah, who decided to break into the company to get information while Peter helped him from afar using an earpiece. And just as Jonah manages to trap all the executives, an electric blast almost hits him from behind, and Shocker appears, saying that this was his end. But as soon as Jonah remembers that his son died because of some electric discharge on his ship similar to Shocker's gloves, Jonah concludes that Shocker was the one who killed his son and turns off the communication with Peter, immediately throwing Shocker out the building window. But while Shocker was falling to his death, Jonah starts thinking about the true justice his son deserved, and at the last second decides to save Shocker from the fall, believing that with responsibility, there must also be accountability. Then telling Shocker that if he didn't want to fall, he better start telling everything that happened at Starrux. A few days go by, and after Jonah reads Shocker's confession in the newspaper, he tells Peter that he finally thought of a name and declares himself as the newest hero. Headline: